started. Okay. Again, as we said at our last get together, keep yourself muted unless you have to speak, because we get a lot of feedback, I guess. So this is the Town of Woodbridge Board of Finance monthly meeting. Today is Thursday, March 18th, 2021. And the first item on our agenda is public comments. Karen, were there any public comments delivered?
Did not receive any.
Okay. The second item is Administrative Officer, Director of Finance report, and that, I believe, is Tony Genovese.
Thank you, Matt. The monthly report through February, and it's a year-end surplus of $166,000. This, as you know, we have a $400,000 allocation from fund balance, which gives us a drawdown at the end of the year of $233,000. That would give us a $6.26 million fund balance, or 12.5% of our expenditures. Our tax collections are currently on budget for this year. Actually, there's a possibility of a surplus in tax collections over the next few months. So I will let you know about that, but I'm hopeful that we will have one. Intergovernmental revenue is predicted to generate a surplus, $131,000. We did receive coronavirus relief funds, $163,000. And we have a slight surplus in special education excess cost grant funds. And so those are sort of the reasons for the surplus in intergovernmental revenues. We are applying for FEMA reimbursement for ESAES, and we have begun that process. The total exposure is $210,000, and we will receive 75% of that. Assuming all those are eligible costs, which we think they are, that's about $160,000. The interesting thing about this storm, which is unlike most other storms, is we are also allowed to apply for cover straight time costs. Usually we just cover overtime costs, but in this particular storm, we're also allowed to cover straight time costs. So that's the reason for the rather large exposure. That is not part of this analysis, and of course would change the result. But it depends on when we receive the funds and how long the process takes as to whether I can record it in this year or next year. So I'll let you know.
Hey, Tony, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So I saw we're showing it as a surplus, but wouldn't it be more of a offset?
You mean
I mean, it sounds like we're,
from a budgetary standpoint, it's a surplus, but because you have as part of the budget, you budget to draw down $400,000 from fund balance.
Right.
You're actually only going to draw down $233,000. So you're not drawing down as much as you had budgeted for, because there's a surplus. From a budget perspective. On an actual cash basis, however, you are spending more than you are taking in.
Okay. Thank you.
But I like to say that because you budgeted to use fund balance. So from your budget, from your actual budget perspective, you're actually running a surplus.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Investment income is projected to have a deficit of $130,000. That's been pretty constant for the whole year. And finally, department charges, slight deficit of about $55,000. Most of that's in transfer station fees, but we do have a surplus in town clerk fees, conveyance fees, and building permits, and public safety fees to offset that. So on expenditures, our transfer station has a surplus of about $50,000. That's mostly due to waste disposal fees that are offset by a slight increase in recycling and bulky waste costs. Benefits have a surplus $160,000. That's workers' compensation savings and health care savings. And finally, the Board of Education has mentioned and has said to us that they will have no deficit for the end of the year. So I removed that from this report. Those are the major items.
Okay, any other questions for Tony on this? Okay, seems like good news.
Yeah.
Seems very good.
Sorry, can I just interrupt for a second? The folks from Beecher are trying to figure out how to join the WebEx because they normally join through YouTube. Is there a way, Karen, you can send stuff to?
How about the phone number?
Is it what would the phone? I'll just text them. What's the phone number to call into it? Sorry.
I don't have that. I don't have it. Do you have that, Karen?
Is Karen muted?
Could you forward them the email that we had?
I don't know if that's going to work because of the participant thing, but I guess I could. I'll try that.
That's true, because then.
Yeah, the phone number should be on that and they can call in, but they.
Okay, can we move on?
Oh, could I just have a question. Tony, as I understand it, some of the federal money in this recent $1.9 trillion bill will be coming directly to municipalities. So is that something you'll be booking in the current fiscal year or the next fiscal year, or it's too early to tell?
It's probably too early to tell because I'm not exactly sure when it's going to come, what the what sort of guidance there is, what you can spend it on, what you can't spend it on, and I'm not exactly sure of the amount yet either. I've seen a few different amounts, so as soon as we get more information, I'll let you know.
Great, thank you.
So the town's gonna get money and the Board of Education is gonna get money also, right?
That's correct.
And the Amity too, probably.
Yeah.
Okay. I was talking to a client of mine who's a superintendent in a town, I won't mention it. He said, I can't believe it, I'm getting $4 million. And I don't know what I'm gonna do with $4 million, he said. So there's quite a bit of money coming, so we shall see.
Yeah, we should all have those troubles,
Yeah, right. Okay, Woodbridge Board of Ed financial report. Well, again, I think we've all been made aware that Jonathan Budd is going to not seek funds from us at the year end, I hope anyway, and that would be a great help. But Tom, maybe you can, in your liaison report, talk about this a bit, okay?
I will.
Anything other, Tony?
The only other I have is that I put out to RFP for an auditor because we are at the end of our most recent term, and so those will be for your May meeting to consider.
Okay. Funding requests. We have a few, so let's get going. First of all, it's a request for funding. That's something we do every year at this time, and it's to fund shortage in the Public Works overtime account for primarily snow removal. Let's see. So this is coming from contingency, $45,500. I'll move acceptance of request for funding 2021-18A in the amount of $45,500. That's what this is all about, right, Tony?
That's correct. It's for there's two parts to it. There's a part from contingency and a part from within the budget.
Yeah, I see that.
And it's for two things actually. We've had a series of storms, 6 major and 4 minor storms, which generated a fair amount of the overtime, and also almost just about 25,000 of it is from the storm that we're getting hopefully reimbursed for. So it's the one in the FEMA reimbursement. So should we get reimbursed for that when in time for this fiscal year, then you could reimburse contingency from those funds if you so choose to do that.
Okay, so I'll second that, and then I have a question.
Okay.
Just so I can confirm now, the 45.5 is from contingency. Then we have another 20 or so. That's a line item transfer. Okay, that's the next line. Okay, go ahead, Tom.
Okay, no, I was looking at the line item transfer, so I guess ignore that.
Yeah, where do we get to that?
This, and then we'll do the line item transfer.
Right. Okay, so this vote, assuming there's no questions, is for the $45,500 request from our contingency fund. So
okay, so all right then. This is the question I had. So under the question, I noticed that I only saw 2 requests for 20,000. So I just wondered where the other 5,500 was.
So if there's going to be a request for 45,000, she put the request. The one memo has both requests in it. So she's a memo from Kelly, which is a total of 65, roughly. I upped it to 65,000, but it's in 2 parts: 45,500 from contingency and 20,000 from the budget, from salary. This is the wages line. So it's 65,500 is the total request. So that gives them enough to cover the deficit, and there are 2 accounts and a few $1,000s in case there's a call or 2 that they need to do for the rest of the year.
Okay. I was just thinking the 2 letters I saw, the 2 memos were for 20.
They're the same. It's the same memo. We just copied it for both funding requests.
Gotcha, okay.
Okay, so this vote we're about to take is for the transfer from contingency for 45.5. I'm in favor. Ellen? Yes? Ellen?
Yes.
Okay. Susan? Okay. You can unmute yourself for this, guys.
Yes.
Yes. Tom Kennefick.
Affirmative.
Tom Handler.
Yes.
Is Paul, you there?
Yes.
Paul, you're yes? Okay. So it's unanimous. Okay. All right, next is the 20,000 part of it, which is a line item transfer from highway wages. And I'll move acceptance of line item transfer 2021-18B in the amount of $20,000.
Second.
Any discussion on that one? Okay, I'm a yes. Ellen?
Yes.
Tom Kennefick?
Yes.
Tom Handler?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Next is another line item transfer to address the shortage in the building repairs line item. There's a memo from Brad Parsons about this. Requesting 11,000 to address the shortage in the building repairs line item. The shortage is due to unanticipated repairs at various locations, which included the Department of Public Works compressor repair, 8,500 roughly, police canopy bollard installation, whatever that is, 6,400, police Sally Port garage door replacement, 6,035, and the library electric car charging station, 2,328. So we get this into a discussion if we have any. I'm going to move acceptance of line item transfer 2021-19 in the amount of $11,000.
Second.
Any discussion or questions?
I'm just curious, what was the repair on the charging station at the library? Do we know?
So when people use the charging station, they're sometimes not careful with returning the charging item back to the unit, and it gets abused a fair amount. So we had to replace it. More so for the library one than for Public Works. That one seems to be okay.
Thanks.
Okay. The ballards are so that the cars don't hit the cement.
Oh, those posts. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else? I'm a yes. Tom Handler.
Yes.
Tom Kennefick.
Yes.
Susan.
Yes.
Ellen.
Yes.
Paul.
Yes.
Okay. Next is another line item transfer. It's to address the shortage in the printing and binding account of the assessor's office. It is for $1,700. I'm going to move acceptance of line item transfer 2021-20 in the amount of $1,700.
I'll second.
Any discussion on this? I'm a yes. Tom Handler.
Yes.
Tom Kennefick.
Yes.
Paul.
Yes.
Susan.
Yes.
Ellen.
Yes.
Okay. Next is a request for finance. This is something else, another 45,000, Tom?
Yep.
Okay, this is for Oh, legal issues, okay. What legal issues? We don't have any legal issues in this town. What are you talking about? Everything works. We don't have any problems. I'm gonna move acceptance of request for funding. You kind of promised us this last month, Tony, that
I did.
contingency was gonna get whacked around, so.
I did.
I'm gonna move acceptance of request for funding 2021-21 in the amount of $45,000 to address a variety of legal issues facing the town.
I'll second.
Any discussion on this?
I'm just wondering if Tony has a little bit of detail about it.
It's for primarily the land use matter with Orchard Road and the cell tower issue. Those are the two major items.
Okay. All right.
I'm hopeful that we can return some money to contingency from that storm reimbursement.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
That'd be nice. Okay, I'm a yes. Ellen?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Tom Kennefick?
Yes.
Tom Handler?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Okay. Next, we have a whole bunch of minutes to approve. Should we do them individually or doesn't matter to me? I'll do them individually. I'm going to move acceptance of the minutes of Tuesday, December 1st, which I believe was a capital meeting, a joint capital meeting. I'll move acceptance of those minutes.
I'll second.
Okay, any adjustments, corrections, anything at all? Okay. I'm going to vote out. You know what? Well, I guess we're going to have to vote. Okay. I'm yes. Ellen?
Yes.
Tom Kennefick?
Yes.
Tom Handler?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Okay. Next is the second of our two joint meetings on capital, Thursday, December 3rd, 2020, and I'll move acceptance of the minutes of December 3rd as presented.
I'll second.
Any adjustments to those? Hearing none. I'm yes. Susan?
I think I have to abstain. I'm not sure I was at that meeting.
Okay. Ellen?
Yes.
Tom Kennefick?
Yes.
Tom Handler?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Okay. Next is January 26th, which was a joint board meeting. This was a budget. This was a budget meeting. And I will move acceptance of the minutes of the January 26th meeting as presented.
I'll second.
Any discussion on this or adjustments? Okay, I'm a yes. Susan?
Yes.
Ellen?
Yes.
Tom Kennefick?
Yes.
Tom Handler?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Okay. Next is Thursday, January 28th. And again, it was another joint budget meeting. I'll move acceptance of the minutes of the January 28th joint meeting as presented.
Second.
Any questions, comments? Nothing? Okay. I'm a yes. Ellen?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Tom Kennefick?
Yes.
Tom Handler?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Okay. Next is another budget meeting, Tuesday, February 2nd, and I will move acceptance of the minutes of February 2nd as presented.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on these? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, let me see. I'm a yes. Susan?
Yes.
Tom Kennefick?
Yes.
Tom Handler?
Yes.
Ellen?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Okay. Next is the meeting of, this is our regular meeting, Thursday, February 18th. I'll move acceptance of the minutes of February 18th as presented.
Yep. Second.
Okay, any discussion on these? Hearing none. Yes, Ellen?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Tom Kennefick?
Yes.
Tom Handler?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Okay, and finally, Thursday, March 4th, this was our meeting when we discussed the budget adjustments, and we put some items together and came up with a preliminary number, which we're going to hopefully finalize tonight. So I will move acceptance of the minutes of Thursday, March 4th, 2021 as presented.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on these? Okay, I'm a yes. Susan?
Yes.
Ellen?
Yes.
Tom Kennebec?
Abstain as I was not there.
Okay, Tom Handler?
Yes.
And Paul?
Yes.
Okay. I guess we skipped over number 5. We went from 4 to 6 on the agenda. So first selectmen's report. I believe Beth Heller is first selectman. Okay. The floor is yours, Beth.
Still, thank you very much. Thanks, Matt. I just have a couple of quick items. It was a fairly short Board of Selectmen meeting. You might recall at a previous meeting, I mentioned that we voted to create an affordable housing ad hoc study committee. And we have, this is in response to the zoning application before the Town Plan and Zoning Committee. And we have several names of folks who have agreed to serve. And as a reminder, the committee is going to evaluate data, engage the community, assess housing needs, and submit a report to the Board of Selectmen within 18 months. So stay tuned. Still have a couple more names to add to that. Also, you might recall that I've been working over the last 2.5 years with U.S. Congresswoman Rosa DeLaura's office for several years to try to get some funding to solve the problem in Lower Woodbridge with flooding. Through her efforts and Lou Mangini, shout out to Lou, we finally got to be part of a federal bill called, and as part of the Water Resources Development Act. And we've now been approved funding for a study by the Army Corps of Engineers for the flooding problems down there. Once that study is complete and they've identified what needs to be done and funding that might be necessary, we'll go back to Appropriations Committee in the federal government with Rose's committee. She's chairman of that committee. And apply for the federal dollars to finally begin the remediation. This is not going to be a short thing that's going to happen in 6 months. It'll be a miracle if it happens before I'm in a nursing home. So that long. It's the way it goes, federal government. But we're moving forward on that, and I'm very happy for the businesses and residents down there. Vaccinations of Woodbridge residents, if you know, continues. We're among the top municipalities in the state. I think we're number 3 right now in the amount of folks that have been vaccinated, which is really good. Human Services is doing a really super job of getting our folks vaccinated, making appointments, etc. And if all goes as planned, the town is going to open our buildings on April 5th. But we're working very closely with our safety committee and also department heads to accomplish this. We want to make sure it's done safely and effectively for all the staff and also residents. Lastly, I just commented that it's been an entire year. This is the 1-year anniversary since COVID-19 changed our world. And we're still hurting, obviously. Connecticut residents are still suffering. Our state has an 8% unemployment rate, and people are still experiencing food insecurity and housing issues. But I'm hopeful that there are better days to come as we continue to work together to fight this pandemic. And I thank the Board of Selectmen and also the Board of Finance for all your support of me over the last year. It's been really something. So with that, I have nothing else, and thank you all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Oh, hey, Beth, can I ask you a question?
Where's Tom?
So, considering the reopening tomorrow.
No, April 5th.
No, I meant for restaurants and
a
lot of other businesses are reopening, and I was wondering when boards and commissions might actually meet in person, because we can certainly get more than 6 feet apart, and meetings are at night, so that we'll be the only ones in there, and we could limit it to just board members as opposed to the public. I was just wondering if that was something, or if we're just looking for the April date.
We're starting with the town buildings first, and we haven't made a decision yet on the businesses. Don't forget that if we open it up, we have to figure out how we can get the public in there. You know that certainly at the Board of Selectmen meeting, not necessarily at Finance, but Board of Selectmen, we could have 50, 60 people come in to talk. And how are we going to route those people in and out? Or are we going to we haven't gotten that far yet, I guess is the bottom line. But we are considering when it will happen.
Right. No, I was just wondering, just the actual board member, not the public, but actually meeting.
Not yet.
Okay. Just curious. Thank you.
Okay, as far as liaison goes, I was not able to attend the Amity meeting, so I don't really have a report. Susan, do you have anything?
No, I missed Fire Commission. I missed library. However, I've been in touch with the library, and I know you all have the letter that they've sent in connection with their budget concerns.
Okay, Tom, Kennebec, anything?
I missed the last rec meeting, but I did see that they got approval from the commissioner to have summer camp unless things change dramatically. So that's a good thing. We get the kids in there, and as well, it looks like softball may be back. So I think that's also a good positive thing. But I was not able to make the last meeting, but I will certainly have a report at the next Board of Finance.
Okay, Ellen, do you have anything?
Not too much. I mean, Human Services is continuing to deliver the best services possible in the circumstances, and also keeping a really close eye on vaccination opportunities. And I think that's one of the reasons, as Beth noted, Woodbridge is doing so well because our Human Services Department is really taking the lead. So just kudos to Human Services.
Okay. Paul, do you have anything?
The Police Commission meeting was scheduled for Monday this week, but due to some technical difficulties, we weren't able to convene. So we're going to have to skip this month.
Okay. Not a busy time, really. The budget's the main thing. So,
Right.
And I guess Tom Handler.
So I was at the Board of Ed Finance meeting. I will point out, I believe that we have 3 people from Beecher who have called in because they couldn't get through, because of the YouTube thing. So hopefully I won't say anything. I don't know if they're able to chime in as having called in. At the Board of Ed Finance meeting, once again, as you see in the data presented, that they're still doing a really good job of cutting the deficit, and fingers crossed, hopefully by the end of the year, they will be at 0. So kudos to them for that. They were continuing to work on the budget request, and so I think you all saw that they came in with, again, a lower number. If memory serves me correct, because the document I just had open crashed on me. I think we're at 2.37, Tony, is that right? That they're coming in due to some staffing.
That's correct, yeah.
And so I think they're doing a great job. I applaud what they're doing. Short and sweet.
Okay. Is that everybody? Did I get everybody? I think so. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next is the item 8 is to review and act on Board of Finance fiscal year 22 budget recommendations that will be presented to the preliminary budget hearing. Since last we met, of course, last time we met, Amity had come through with a very generous cut, and this time the Woodbridge Board of Ed and Superintendent Budd have come through with a $130,827 reduction, which is much appreciated, and I commend Dr. Budd. I think he's gotten on board, and I think he's doing a great job. He's concerned with the budget, and he's helped us a lot with it. So, if you to summarize what you're looking at, if you have these 2 pages, one is the Board of Finance budget adjustments, a total of $739,316. And Tony, these are all reflected in your document, the budget.
Yes, those are reflected in the revised budget that I sent.
Okay. So Tony and I have gone through quite a few things. Of course, the only other issue, which we'll discuss in a few minutes, is the library, which seems to not be they're not happy with the cut that was taken from them. But at this point, and correct me, Tony, if I'm wrong, it stands, if we leave everything as the way it is right now, we'll have a 2.58% tax increase, or mill rate increase, which is a tax increase.
That's correct. 2.58 mill rate increase.
Right, and I think we've looked through other accounts, and to get it much lower than that, it would be painful to start. We've pretty much trimmed everything there is to trim, and we're going to ask if the Board of Finance has any opinions on this.
And Matt, I just want to comment that, so for the 2 years, if you take both years into account, right, the tax rate goes up, it would be a 2.27 increase for both years.
Okay.
Yeah,
and I mean, I think, again, going from what we had last year when we were realizing that we wouldn't have a lot of things going on, it's going to be difficult to get it below. I mean, we could get it below this, but I don't think it's going to leave a good taste in anybody's mouth with some of the things we'd have to do. So I'm willing to leave this as is. Anybody else? I mean, again, I guess we should have a discussion about the library. Does anybody have any opinion on that letter we got from the library? I think recreation was cut 100,000 and library was cut 100,000. So, any comments?
Yeah,
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I guess my question is directed to Tony. The $100,000 from the library, is there any possibility of restoring any of those funds given how hard they're working on the phased opening approach? I mean,
so I'll just give you, if you restore, so they had two different options there.
Right.
Of course, the full restoration of the funds, and then I believe it was $45,000 that they had requested as also a possibility. If you add that into their budget, the mill rate increase goes up to 2.67%.
If you add in 45,000?
Correct. That's
okay.
Correct. Yeah.
And remind me how many positions, because I believe these were all salary issues, right? The $100,000.
It's for part-time positions. So we did not cut any of the full-time positions. It's for part-time. So they would, because they use part-timers to fill in, at extra hours, whether it's at night or weekends. So if you see the matrix they provided, it tells you, what they can do with the $45,000 versus, each scenario.
And the 2.87, I'm sorry, the 2.58 that you're talking about is with the $100,000 cut.
That's correct.
All right. Well, I for one am inclined to restore the $45,000 because I think that it's not just about cost; it's about value, and I think it's an important element of our community. I hope I'm saying that right.
Okay. Anybody else?
I agree with Susan. I think that, we're seeing this big surge of home buyers in Woodbridge, and people are attracted certainly by the schools, I think is number one. But I believe the library is one of our very attractive features in town. And I think restoring the 45,000 does not impact the bottom line in such a significant way that we shouldn't do it. So I am definitely in favor of adding back in 45,000.
I have another question. Assuming that we go forward and everybody's opened up and they now have full-time employees that they need, are they going to be able to seek money out of contingency, or how is that going to have to work?
So the contingency was reduced significantly. So should you need any amount of money that, let's say you wanted to add more money early in the year, you would do an allocation from fund balance.
Okay.
That's what I would do, which you can do. I mean, that's what fund we have,
Well, all the more reason I think that an incremental adjustment is appropriate at this time for the library. That's my personal feeling.
And you may have a better idea once the year starts exactly, when things will start, what they can do, what they can't do, how they can adjust.
Okay.
The library has had a long track record of stretching their budget just as finely as anyone can. They've been extremely judicious with their budget. I'd really hate to cut it as drastically as we have. If we could put that 45,000 back, it seems to me it's a good investment.
And I will say I support the library as well. I'm not entirely clear their numbers as to why it would take so long to reopen, but I as everyone else said, that they've been doing a really good job, so I'm not going to question it. I will note, I think in the letter it was 55, not 45, but I'm assuming, Tony, that the numbers you gave for the increased mill rate reflects what they asked for.
Yeah, they said in their letter that
Yeah, it's 55.
they say that here we go. The middle ground reopening plan would require the restoration of $45,000 to their salary, part-time, all other line. So their middle ground is to restore 45,000. So the cut is 55,000. That's the confusion.
Oh,
I see what you're saying. Sorry. Yeah.
silly me.
Me too. Sorry. My mistake.
I'm sure they won't argue if we want to restore the 55.
I'm sure they wouldn't.
Quiet, Susan.
Okay, anybody else? Well, if someone would like to make a motion to restore the 45, we can entertain it.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion on that? Okay, I'll say yes. Tom Handler,
Yes.
Tom Kennebec,
No.
no. Susan,
Yes.
Ellen,
Yes.
Paul.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else? Anybody else? Again, we've trimmed this pretty well. I was hoping to get a budget increase under 2%, but I don't think we can do it without, as I said, a lot of pain. So I'm gonna not suggest any further cuts unless anybody else has any suggestions in looking this over.
But Matt, when you say any other cuts, I assume what we're doing is the cuts that were on the sheet you distributed.
Yeah, those are already in here. Yeah, right.
And plus adding in the 45,000.
Right. 739, and we're going to add 45, so it's going to mean we're like 694.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
All right, Tony. I guess we're going to go with this.
And of course, I know everybody knows this, but after the budget hearing, you do have an opportunity to make further changes.
Is there a chance, Tony, in looking at it, there might be some good changes in another direction? That possible, right?
It's possible, yes.
Okay.
It could be.
All right, so then, why don't you adjust your figures, because we have to make a motion and a vote.
I have that. I'm ready.
All right, give me the key figures. Total expenditures.
The expenditure budget is 51,566,481.
Okay.
It's a 2.96% increase.
Okay.
The non-tax revenues are 3,502,676.
3,502,000. That stays the same.
676. Yeah, that's
6. Okay.
It's a reduction of 2.96. That's funny. That's an increase of 2.96 and a reduction of 2.96. Amount to be raised by taxes is 48,063,805.
063,805.
Yeah, that's a 3.42% increase.
Okay.
And then the mill rate is 42.64, and that's a 2.67% increase.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to make a motion that we approve a preliminary budget to go to the preliminary budget hearing on, what's the date, Karen? April
19th.
April 19th. And we will present a budget with total expenditures of $51,566,481. Non-tax revenues of $3,502,676. The amount to be raised by taxes will be $48,063,805, which will produce a mill rate of 42.64. And I'd make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, I'm a yes. Ellen? Ellen?
Sorry. Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah. Susan?
Yes, please.
Tom Kennefack?
Yes.
Tom Handler?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Okay. So we have a budget to present in the preliminary budget hearing. So if there's nothing else that anybody wants to talk about, I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Was that a second?
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor, just give a yell. Yes.
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 Okay. We'll see you, I guess, April 19th. Okay. Take care, everybody. Thank you all.